This is the Inbound Secret.
My name is Bryce, and I'm your host for The Inbound Secret, where we're talking with top performers and health experts and sales badasses alike about their strategies to optimize their well-being and performance. Once again, this is The Inbound Secret, and let's get rocking and rolling.
This is the Inbound. This is the Inbound. This is the Inbound. This is the Inbound Secret.
Bryce here again with The Inbound, and I got Brent over here, my man Brent Skinner with Brand Makers, and he's here to share some wisdom, some knowledge, drop some bombs. Go ahead and introduce yourself, bud.
Yeah, Brent Skinner. I own a company called Brand Makers. Got some partners, and we started building this about 10 years ago. Bryce and I met, 4 or 5 months ago-ish?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, not terribly long ago. We've chatted quite a bit. We've had a bunch of encounters. Had some trips out to Dallas for meetings, and always catching up in between. So
Hell, and a trip out to Cabo. So.
Oh yeah, we did. We did Cabo. That was a ton of fun. I would do that again.
Yeah, so would I. It was good times.
Yeah, but we're in the branded merchandise side of things. So apparel, mugs, lanyards, keychains, all the swag, for the most part, anything outside of a lot of paper print is what we handle.
Right on.
So there's very little we don't do.
So when you say anything outside of paper print, are you talking about like if I wanted to put my logo on this stuff, that's not you? But if I wanted to put my logo on this stuff, that's you?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, so we do a little bit of paper stuff, we'll do flyers, and we'll do some pamphlets and things. It's just not our bread and butter. We definitely do some of it, but it's not where my focus has been anyway. So we're going on. So we're in our 11th year. So we'll be to 11 years soon in business, and it's been all growth until we're going to see a dip because of all this going on. But we can talk all about that. But it's been a fun business. It's very different than what I initially started with. Well, right out of college, really. Out of college, I had another gig going on and did that for a number of years. And then it was a time for change. So I found it, and this was it.
Nice. Now, for those of you who are going to be watching this, Brent's humble as hell. And by all growth, like he's underselling this. What was it, like 28 million or something that you did last year? Close to
25. It was around 23.5 million last year.
Yeah, so we're not talking like he's small fish in the game. Like he's out here changing lives and helping people. He's just humble about it.
Yeah, and it's I'm definitely a part of that. But we've got a big team. So, and I've got partners that are just phenomenal. I mean, everybody plays their part. Everybody does their thing, and that helps when everybody's on the same page. We have multiple partners, which maybe isn't quite the norm. I don't know that I've found companies that are quite divided like we are, but we're best friends and everything kind of flows really well. So maybe that doesn't work in every case, in every business, but for us, it's actually been really, really good. So yeah, we've grown this for that long. And each year, I would say for the last 5 or so years, we've been adding 2 to 2.5 million every year consistently on upon the prior year. And up until now, it's been almost one of those, I would say 8 to 10 months of record months. So we were on this awesome trip, and then this is going to hurt. We suspect about 75% drop off for April sales. So that's going to really mess up the little ride we were on. But yeah, every month was a new record month, and then a new record month. So everything was pointing to a record year, and so we got a work cut out for us to catch back up and get on that. But
well, and that's actually kind of what I want to share with the people here is all of us are going through this same crazy hectic thing.
It's just
Yeah.
how are we adapting and changing, and what resources and what could we share with somebody who's sitting at home like, fuck, maybe they lost their job, what do they do? Or maybe they own a company and they had to shut down their doors because COVID's not letting anybody go through with social distancing. Like, what have you done, particularly in your partners, to adapt your company to still be able to operate, even if it's at a lower capacity during this shutdown and lockdown and the whole COVID thing?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me say this. First of all, I would tell everybody, one, it's temporary, and you're all going to get through it. It's definitely not ideal. And I've had some extremely non-ideal situations in my life and in business. And as much as those hurt and the sacrifices we had to make, we came out of it so much stronger. And it was actually a massive trial and failure that led me to where we are now. Had I not gone through that business failure 12 years ago, I wouldn't be where I am now. And that's a massive blessing. It's easy to say that now. At the time, it was furthest thing from a blessing in my mind. It was awful. Yeah. It was the worst period of my life. It was just, it was depressing. It was embarrassing. It was humiliating, humble. I mean, you name it. I went through all the emotions, but that led me here. So first of all, everybody's going to get through it. Second, there are a ton of programs out there. I've never seen a time in my short lifetime where the government has really stepped up and tried to fill that gap to help. Not just the government, but I'm talking the credit card companies. Sorry if you hear my dog in there going nuts. Credit card companies, mortgage companies, the banking, all these institutions, their back's kind of against the wall. They almost have to, but everybody's in let's find a way to help and ease the burden, because we know this wasn't anybody's fault. So I've done a lot of research and actually sent out a lot of information on Facebook and direct messages to people on how to reach out to their lenders, how to reach out to their credit card companies, and what different places are offering. And that, I just did that, like Stuman says, he's talking, he said, you guys got to be the leaders right now. And so I was like, here's one thing I can do. I know mortgages. I ran mortgages for, a brokerage for years. And so I understand that side of things. And we always dealt with credit card companies. So I just started to do the research there and just started putting out information. And I got so many DMs. Did you talk to this bank? Do you know what they're offering? And, how can these guys help me? So a lot of my days this past week were spent answering people, which was cool. Because
that's awesome.
Just getting them in the right direction and, helping them find ways. So there are programs out there to ease the burden a little bit. As far as what we are doing, the good thing about us, and this is another one of those blessings in disguise, we've been operating debt-free for about 5 or 6 years now. We don't owe anything to anybody. We have a lease in place, and that's really our monthly payment. We obviously have employees to cover their salaries and things, but outside of that, we're debt-free. I mean, we really don't have any assets that we're making payments on, which is awesome. So what that's allowed us to do in our situation is help our commission sales reps where needed. We know that their commissions are going to drop, and especially some of the younger guys who are still building that business, we're able to come in and fill that gap so that all their bills are paid. Same thing with our hourly people. If, we're keeping everybody on staff, we haven't had to let anybody go, and we're not going to. So we are flush there, which is a huge blessing. We've operated that way, not expecting or hoping, but just knowing that, hey, should something come up, we want to be covered. Outside of that, that's kind of just taking care of our own. But we've had to really revamp things. We've gone all remote. Now I'm different. I've worked on my own for 10 years. I've never worked out of the main office. You give me a phone and a computer, and a printer, I can function anywhere. Which is the good thing about our business, is we can be very remote. So we haven't made a ton of adjustments there. But what we have done is for our clients, we've tried to get a little bit more creative with our marketing. And I don't know if you saw the other day, but I put out that little video, kind of showed a little demo of it. What we've done is we've created this at-home, kind of app work from home kit, I guess we were calling it. And we've reached out to, a bunch of our top clients, prospects, those people who, obviously we want them to know we're still thinking about them. We care about them. We know that they're not in the ordering mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And we've created it. I'm trying to remember what all we put on there. It was kind of a fun, we put a little levity to it, wanted to make it a little fun, but it was.
Well, I know you had the chili pepper,
the Doomsday chili pepper.
Yeah.
And the options were, A, this is funny. B, not funny, or C, I don't get it, or something. And we threw that in every kit. A t-shirt, one of the t-shirts was keep your distance t-shirt. Had like a heart. Yeah.
Or keep away from me or something. Yeah.
So we kind of just, like I say, I made it kind of light and fun. We did a charging pad, a speaker, all branded. We did some drinkware, and we're actually going to engrave all their personal, their name on it or their company name on them. So we're just doing some personalization there. But the idea was bring a little, more laughter to the situation. We made it really light. And we reached out more as, hey, this is our gift to you. We understand that most places are not in a position to spend money right now. Like that wasn't even a thing. We're not asking for the business. We want a few things. We want to accomplish, one, that they know we care, that we're thinking about them. And two, that we know that it's not permanent, and that we empathize with their situation, because we understand most of our people are not working from the office right now. Almost, I'd say almost all of them are at home or working remotely, at least a huge portion of their time. So we created this fun little kit that we've been sending out, no charge to them, of course. And we just want them to understand that, one, we're in it with them, and two, that when this is all over, we still want to be that branding agency with the fun ideas and the creative, side of things, and the ones that are never going to just turn away and say, woe is me. Like, we've still been incredibly high spirits, and a 75% drop is massive. No one loves that. It's scary, but we're also a company who never, has said or is never down. We're always amped, always excited, and the atmosphere is just bright and happy. And so we know we're not going to get anywhere being down. So we wanted to pass that along to people and just kind of have that, put that idea in their head as well. But it's worked well. The response, we kind of launched it Thursday night, mostly just Friday. It was the big bulk of what we started sending out. And it's been so good. Like, people are just so excited, and everybody's like responding. The response rate is amazing. And they're just laughing. They got the jokes. They thought it was funny, and people are just filling out the forms and really appreciating it. So I think we nailed that one. And again, it's because we're just showing a care, and we understand it's not the time to necessarily, you always seek business to a point, but that's not the goal here. The goal is, we know people are coming back to work eventually, and if there's a way we can ease that and help them with some ideas and stuff in the meantime, we'll ride the storm with them, and we'll just pick back up business as usual when it's time.
100%. So with sorry if you guys hear my cat freaking out. This is him. This is Tuxedo. And he's losing his mind because I've been busy all day and he doesn't know what to do.
Oh, yeah. So, I got kids who keep our pets busy, supposed to, but I can hear him in there.
But that's Tuxedo, so you'll hear him just running around meowing all the time. It's super offshoot, but he's super bougie now because we've spoiled him.
Oh,
and he's like if you made Paris Hilton into a cat and then made it a dude, that's Tuxedo.
Nice.
So good cat.
Little high mains.
Just a little bit, yeah. Just a little bit. It's. I'll blame my family first off. My mother loves Tuxedo, so anytime she visits, like, she spoils the shit out of him, and then he expects that all the time, even after she's not visiting. So it's a whole thing. Now back on track. Sorry. I've got shiny object syndrome every now and then. So with kind of the implementation and changes, because you guys have always been that company, and you, like many of us here in Apex, and that's part of Ryan's communities, it's always about doing things in spite of the money. That's what it's for. Business will come, but it's really about just helping people. And I mean, I've got it tattooed on my arm. You're made to thrive, not just survive. How can we help people do that? And that's one of
Yeah.
the reasons why I asked you on this Zoom. And thank you for joining me, by the way. What types of resources, websites, social pages, federal sites, what would you recommend people go do rather than just like veg out in front of the boob tube that would help them either get some capital to keep their employees or maybe feed themselves, to get motivated, to stay on the up and up, to reach out? What tools would you recommend that have helped you guys? What would you recommend the audience do to kind of help in those measures?
Yeah, let me back up for one sec. So I'll tell you, last Monday was an incredibly odd day for me. So I'm usually extremely upbeat. I don't need a whole lot of outside motivation, but I'm also not immune to stresses and all that, of course. So I woke up Monday and it was the strangest day for me. The entire day was almost just one problem after another, but I was in a terrible mindset before that. And I almost probably created those issues. But I'm not one to be depressed, but I think I was pretty depressed, and it took me by surprise because it's just not my character.
Yeah.
And I struggled that entire day, which was really weird because the Friday before and over that weekend, I had been working so hard to put something in place locally that was all about giving. And it's almost finished now, but we have an amazing group of guys and gals set to fund a local, essentially a local charitable account for those people who have been hit heavily, whether it's complete job loss, whether it's just, a very huge cutback in hours, or those, don't have food. So we're partnered kind of with a bunch of people and with some local restaurants, right, to help support local people here in town. And so I had this whole giving mindset, and I was just thinking, give. And so my weekend and that Friday before were amazing because like that was my mindset. So it struck me as really odd that Monday was such a horrible day, and mentally it just killed me, and it was just uncharacteristic for me. But I got through that, and I think I got through it because I got back, even though it was such a terrible day, I still started making those phone calls about setting this up to help people, and it slowly, I kind of got out of that funk. And so for me, it was actually that mindset of like, okay, you're going to do everything you can for your business, but what are you doing to give and to help? And so once I got back in that mindset, it helped. Tuesday was the extreme opposite. Everything was great at work, and it's not as busy. Clearly, I mean, it's not the same, not what I'm used to. But it was head and shoulders above my Monday, and I think just in that mindset of give is what's really helped me pull out of it and just stay positive and focused. As far as resources and things, if you're a business and you're still operating for the most part, I've got people to reach out to as well, and several in the group, but I would reach out and at least look into an SBA loan. As far the research I did, credit lines are pretty much diminished unless, I've got to research again and see, but when I checked before the stimulus was passed, credit lines were pretty much gonzo. There was nothing there, but SBA loans were lending heavily. And I watched Jeff's video the other day, and it sounds like there are more opportunities there now, even for those, and some particularly for those who had actually been denied before. So there.
Well, with the COVID relief bill, there's a ton of opportunities because now
so as a business owner, look into that.
Chalmers is a good guy to reach out to for this because he's got some business dev people that have just been inundating themselves in everything about this bill. Yeah. And from my understanding, it's really focused on keeping people employed, letting employers hire people, and creating a community event where it's all about helping people. And big banks are actually willing to grant money in the case for SBAs if they can prove that they've done this with that money. I think that's a great resource.
Yeah. So that's one place I would start as far as personal finances go. And I love Jeff actually spoke a little bit about this too. The way he kind of put it, and this was what I was putting out there a week or so ago. And the video that he put on in his group, I really liked and it resonated with me. it was, more how to handle it personally and help yourself. He said, listen, if I don't necessarily have it. He said, even if I don't have a cash flow problem, if you're telling me I can defer some payments and, cash is king, right? Or like Stuman says, what, cash is queen, hard work is king. Is that how he phrased it?
Something like that. Yeah.
So we know that it's super important right now. So let me think of the banks that I looked into. I think it was Chase, it was US, SunTrust, Stearns. There was a few others that I looked at, and most of them, the way they're operating right now is a forbearance, anywhere from a 3 to a 6 month period. Forbearance, it's not it's payment deferment, but it's not like rolling to the back of your loan necessarily. So it just stalls everything for the time being. No late payment or no late fees. It will report to credit as current. It will say forbearance though. So if somebody pulls your credit, it's going to say in forbearance, which means it's neither late nor on time. It's in kind of in a standstill mode. Once that forbearance term expires, you will be required to make it current. Now, with that said, they're almost all at this moment, and it could change and they could just make it a fixed thing, but they're offering additional options. So let's say it's a 90-day term. You get down to the 90-day terms, you're in a position to pay it back, you just pay it all back. Oh, and you can pay during the time, any payment you can make during the time too, to lessen your burden in the end. So you get done with 90 days or 120 or whatever you set up. And if you can't pay that back, they'll do one of two options or even a combination of them. You can look at a loan modification, which again will change your terms, most likely change your payment because you're going to roll that into it and modify everything from that point going forward. The other option that you'd have to qualify for is my understanding. So probably verify some assets, probably show bank statements, different things for business and personal, and they would potentially roll those payments into the very back of your loan. So you essentially start fresh from that moment now, start making your regular payments, but it would increase. Now, how that's all going to play out, still to be determined because we're clearly not there yet. But every single bank that I researched and looked into was offering the forbearance with multiple options, going forward once that forbearance is up. Or the other option potentially was to continue it at a month by month basis, if that was necessary. Similar to credit cards, most credit cards are going month to month. They're foregoing late fees and interest charges on your credit cards month to month. So if you were to call in your payments due today, you call in, you waive it. The next month before payments due, you're going to have to touch base again, or they're going to start those back up again, right? So that's a month to month thing, but because they don't know how long it's going to last, right? Nobody does. So they're not going to grant you any particular time. But if you call them back up and say, hey, this is where I'm at. Here's what I'm still struggling with. Making this payment's going to be hard. Can we do another 30 days? So everybody should be looking into that if they're having the struggles right now. But that's basically the information that I was putting out and researching and just kind of helping people, because those who are in a bad spot that probably need that are also extremely stressed. So it's like, if I can consolidate a lot of this and just put it into a simple format, let them all read through. And then if they got questions, I'll do my best to answer them. And in my spare time, I can do some research for them as well. So
awesome.
But I do those. Those are things that I would definitely look at.
Awesome. Now, last thing before we kind of wrap up here, because this is a big one for me. I know it's a big one for you, is mindset. So like you see me wearing my FYE hat.
Yeah.
And I don't know what yours says. It's backwards, probably brand maker's hat.
Yeah, you got it.
There we go.
Always. Yeah.
And Stuman talks about it. Tom talks about it. Jeff talks about it. Everybody in our networks really talk about it. And it's helped me through this. Like I was sick pretty much this whole week. Yeah. Not COVID. Don't worry, guys. Not COVID. I think I just got like a really messed up normal flu, but breathing's fine. Respiratory's fine. I just felt like death for a while. Right. And working through that, the biggest thing was a positive, abundant mindset. And I work in an industry where like quarantine doesn't really change my day to day, right? Like I work inside most of the time.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, same thing.
All it did was really change if I could get on a plane or if I want to go screw off outside for a little bit without getting in trouble. That's about it. Mm-hmm. So what are your like go-tos to help you get back to, if you stray away from it, to help you get back to that giving first mentality, that positive mindset? Like what would you say are things to focus on or activities to do that the audience can do to get them out of a funk if they're in a bad mood and get them into a better mood and a better mindset?
Yeah. So for me, like I say, it happens to me occasionally where I mean, and everybody, things aren't as easy maybe as you're used to, especially with your mind. Whenever that starts to happen for me, there's a little routine that I do that works. I think everybody's going to be a little different, so modify it as needed. I go a little bit over aggressive. So usually when I get that way, what I want to do is almost sleep longer and forget about the podcast. And when I'm at the gym, I throw on a movie instead of listening to podcasts or things. It almost like pushes me to do all those things I don't want to do. So I almost go extreme the other way. So I started waking myself up a little earlier, even if it's 15 minutes. I get up a little earlier, so I feel like, okay, there's a quick win. So I accomplished something that I know I didn't want to do. And then I get out, I've got a home gym set up, and so I've got a TV in there, and sometimes it's movies, sometimes it's music, sometimes it's podcasts. But if I really need to get myself going again, get my head right, I throw on a podcast. A lot of times it's Rewire. So I've been doing a lot of Rewire because I can go through a bunch of them during my workout. And they're different, they're short, and my mind can go all sorts of different places. And at any moment, one of those things might click for me. Longer podcasts generally have a fairly straightforward topic that's, broadened or lengthened. I like the Rewire because it's 5 to 8 minutes. And
they're short, sweet, right to the point. Yeah.
And maybe one of those, that gives me a lot more chance for one of those things to be exactly what I need that day, right? So that's part of my routine. So I get up earlier than normal, hit the gym, nothing but podcasts. When I come in my office, I don't usually listen to podcasts in my office while I'm working because I tried that and I lose focus. I'm either focusing too much on work and forgetting the podcast, or I'm intent on the podcast and I'm screwing up at work. Like I'm slow. Mm-hmm. So I throw headphones in and it's just straight music. I just throw something on repeat, like a good mix that I like. And that works for me because I can tune everything else out. And I really just get in the flow. And I find one other thing that I almost don't want to do, and I just do that. And a lot of times for me, it's picking up the phone and making some type of cold call or something, because I'm just looking for another little win, something that gets my head back in it. So each little thing that I feel like I can put in the win column for that day, it completely changes my state of mind. So for me, and sometimes it's tiny little things, but it flips a switch. And as uncomfortable as it is, it works for me, and I think everybody has maybe a little bit different version of that, but that works for me, and also like the example I used earlier is do something good for someone else too. That's another thing that I can easily put in my win column. That's what helped me last Tuesday and even late in the day, Monday, I was like, I got to get back to this. This is where I was at, where my head was so good and everything felt right. And so I got back on track that way. And again, it just got me boosted again. So
awesome. Well, you heard it from Brent himself. Go out and do something good for somebody else. So get your mind right. I agree with that. I think that's my favorite one you mentioned. The music one works for me too. The podcast thing also screws with me. If I listen to something where I'm trying to intake info and I'm trying to work, and like, I don't know if you can see or not, but I've got this cluster. That distractions there don't go well. So doing too many things. It's like if I talk and text at the same time, like I'll end up either texting when I'm talking or I'll start talking when I'm texting. They don't work well. So I agree with you.
That's why I go to music. Yeah, It works for me. Podcast, I tried as much as I want to keep up on podcasts. I have to have a time for that. And it's 2 times. It's either in the gym or when I'm driving. Both of those things I can do something else while listening and be completely in the moment with the podcast.
Yep, 100%. Anything that you want to leave these guys with before we get to how to get a hold of you?
Come on, I think we've covered a lot, man. I think we're good. Just again, it's all temporary. It's all temporary. I think back to when I had amazingly challenging times, and maybe that's what's boosted me to be that more helpful mindset right now, because I would have super appreciated something like this when I was going through these massive struggles. So, you know, I think that mostly covers it. Just have a good mindset, have a giving mindset, and do your best to stay positive. There is good through every challenge. I've never not left a challenge stronger than when I started. So eventually you'll see that, you know, and it took a while to see this one, but it's there, and it manifests like daily now. So it'll happen.
Good. Now, for anybody that needs help with anything mindset-wise, they want to reach out. I know they can reach out to you. They can reach out to me too. Everybody has my contact info that's watching this. It's at theinboundsecret.com or just Bryce.Vance351 on Facebook. But where can people find you if they want to get hooked up with brand makers, if they have questions, if they just want to network? Where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on social now. You know, Instagram's a super easy way. It's BrentSkinner.stg, like St. George, and then Facebook, just my name. So that's always an easy way. DM me there, reach out, and email is, I'm in front of my computer almost all day, every day too. So Brent@brandmakers.com.
Awesome. So if you need to get some swag, you need to get some pens, remember this stuff, not this stuff. Hit up Brent. He'll hook you up and definitely can get you one of those work at home kits, I'm sure. And then remember, keep your mind right, keep it straight, and go out there and give. You're made to thrive, not just survive.
This is the Inbound Secret.